number one show on YouTube, on the most watched channel of all time, PXF, Planet X Filmworks, and today we have Red Dawn, 1984. I believe our last film was also 1984, so straight out of Fire Pixies PXF Classics. The first PG-13 movie to be released under the, at the time, new rating system. Synopsis, pardon the voice, had a rough night. It is the dawn of World War III in the western mountains of America. A group of teenagers band together to defend their town and their country from invading Soviet forces. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Give it a couple of minutes while they populate. I think we could react to the abomination that was a so-called Net Shits boxing event last night, guys. Probably one of the worst films, one of the worst things in streaming history. Shout out to Katie Taylor for getting the dub, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was the only good thing on the whole night.
So crybaby issues on the part of the other team that cried before, after, and during the Taylor win, but that's boxing. And then the absolute abomination of a spar that was Paul Tyson, the worst event in boxing history. Complete nonsense.
I have no words at the moment, and that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, exactly. I think someone put it the best in a post I saw. We all fought the Netflix stream more than Jake and Tyson fought each other. That crap ran like garbage.
Yeah, exactly. I had to keep exiting, starting again. It doesn't look good for the other sport, and they're supposedly going to be showing football and WWE. Well, actually, some of the football games are going to be on at Christmas. I've forgotten the teams now, but they're going to be on. Then Raw, NXT, SmackDown, all moving to there, and it doesn't look good looking at it from a business perspective if they're going to have problems with the stream. But they obviously didn't anticipate the demand on how many people just would be watching. It was. Well, there's UFC tonight, so yeah.
Right. Yes. As Gaz said, here's all we have to say about last night. UFC 309 tonight, and John Jones versus Stipe Miocic. Another banger of a co-main. Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler 2, and then Bo Nickel versus Paul Craig, which should be crazy. What up, Fire Pixie? So yeah, if you want, maybe we'll do a little bit more 309 commentary on the way out. But maybe drop your picks, Pixie. Who do you got? Are you a Jones gal? In the meantime, I think we could get back into this film. So this is a 1984 classic. Of course, it's starring the legend, the GOAT, Patrick Swayze. Mike is the GOAT. It's also got Charlie Sheen in there as Matt Eckert, Jed's brother. I saw my man, of course, Harry Dean Stanton was in there as their father, Tom. I saw my dude Powers Booth in there, Lieutenant Colonel Andrew Tanner. He was kind of a legendary cameo, I thought. He had some weight. Of course, this is a John Milius film. Can't go wrong with that guy. John Milius is the GOAT. He's the director of Conan the Barbarian. He is the character of John Goodman in Big Lebowski. I think we've talked about this before with Mac. He's based on John Milius, so he's like a Vietnam vet. And, Milius is just a hardcore, anti-woke director. Stuff like Conan. Jennifer Grey as Tony.
C. Thomas Howell as well.
Yep. Stacked. But we kind of gave you guys the synopsis. It looks like Milius's idea was kind of make it into a teen Rambo. Of course, Swayze shined in here of Point Break fame, and the many other epic Swayzes such as Donnie Darko.
And also I've never seen this movie, Fire Pixie. You may have, but apparently he did like some kind of post-apoc movie where he plays kind of like a wandering warrior. Never seen it, but I believe that was a few years after Red Dawn, so that's something I'm going to check out soon.
Swayze did?
Yeah. I'm
that sounds so familiar, but I don't know what the title is.
Let's see if I can find it now real quick.
Swayze is goated on several levels. Of course, Roadhouse.
Steel Dawn.
Oh man, that sounds
never seen it. Apparently, a post-apocalyptic science fiction action film directed by Lance Hull, starring Patrick Swayze.
Interesting. It's on Tubi. Got it on my list. Me and Gaz will get that in the hopper. Good find. So, what's your favorite thing about? She was 12 when she saw this. And this is her war movie. Yeah, I know. Swayze is too goated. What up, Darkside?
Welcome, Darkside.
I was trying to think of a war movie to do for Veterans Day, Pixie, and then like you came with like Red Dawn, and that was just kind of perfect. Obviously, John Milius is a Vietnam veteran. I mean, what's your favorite part about Red Dawn, Pixie? I think the directing shines, Gaz. I mean, I think John Milius is a very like kind of specific, aesthetic to his style of film. And there's just a lot of good shots in this, good editing. The combat sequence is very realistic. I only imagine that's from his combat experience. So that's kind of.
There's so much in this movie. We could even do a whole other show on a deep dive in those combat sequences, directing everything. I would not be surprised. In fact, I'm sure this actually was on our screenwriting class at college. A few years ago, we did look at Red Dawn. I'm sure we did. So Pixie's favorite part, hard to pick, but there's a shot of Tony shooting off this machine gun, and she looks bad as hell. But then the way she dies is awesome. Also, yeah, definitely.
I believe she gets shot by the cavalry there. There's so many good, all the death sequences of the Wolverine super. I mean, so just to expound a little bit on the PG-13 rating, it came about because of like outrage of like certain things that were happening at PG films. See the previous PRS review when we talked about Beetlejuice when Keaton dropped a F-bomb in a PG movie. We're still trying to explain that, but I'm guessing too many things like that. we're like, all right, we need something in between. But one thing I noticed about this, like later on when the Wolverines get shot and some of the kill shots Fire Pixie was just talking about, you have the blood on them, when they get shot. And nowadays, it really doesn't even show. I'm going to talk about modern action movies. It really doesn't even show blood in PG. Even Expendables 3, as violent as that was, it's the PG-13 title of the franchise. There's basically no blood when people get shot. So arguably, you have more blood in the soldier kills of Red Dawn. Obviously, there's a lot of politics. It's sort of a New World Order collapse, grab for power, as Gaz was saying. So the political overtones of the plot involves the Soviets and the Cubans alliance invading the American mainland. And basically, these kids go to high school one day. Their team mascot of their football team, whatever, is the Wolverines. And basically Russian paratroopers just show up out of the sky. And honestly, I love the way Red Dawn just gets straight to it. It's not one of those movies with a 45-minute slow burn and you're trying to figure out what the plot is. Like, these dudes go to school in the morning, and remember, guys, the teacher walks out and he tries to ask those guys what's going on. They just blow him away. So right off the rip, you know what time it is, which is, I appreciate that, of John Milius's pacing and Red Dawn,
What's good about this is even from the intro with the credits, it explains the political situation, what's happening, what led to this. It writes a alliance between the Soviets, Cubans, and Nicaraguans. And the opening shot with the paratroopers coming down. For the game heads out there, this is kind of like, and obviously this predates the game I'm going to mention, but it is like the movie of Command and Conquer Red Alert 2, and that has openings with all the paratroopers, all these Soviet airships and super tanks invading pretty much the US and the world, and all that plotting that entire game is trying to drive them out of the States and the world pretty much. So there's a definite influence where they took the plot and idea from, but that is a very iconic moment where, as you rightly said, Ross, the teacher's talking to the classroom, and he kind of stops, looks out the window, sees the paratroopers, and then asks them politely, and of course we see how they respond, but it sets the whole tone for that. This is going to be a very serious, dark movie, Cold War classic.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I can see it, Pixie. It's a fire movie. I mean, I definitely rate it highly. I think like directing, action. The other thing I would give it is cinematography, the natural sets. I love these. Just the Colorado. Well, actually, it looks like they mostly shot in Las Vegas. Obviously, plot wise, it takes place in central Colorado. But just those mountains and just like the naturals, like some of those kind of action sequences, shootouts on the hill. You know what I mean? It's just like it's nice to just see some like natural sets. It kind of gives it like that realistic flair that you don't really have in these kind of like modern like CGI fest movies that me and Gaz are always ranting and raving about, where it's just like not one pixel on the screen is real. It's just a computer. You know, it's nice to just see a real background. You know, like
and I mean
I know you know what I mean, Gaz.
Yeah, totally. And the good thing is they build the characters throughout the movie. You mentioned the combat sequences, very good point, because when you see the Wolverines at first, spoilers, folks, but this is definitely worth mentioning, when they're first using the guns, the weapons, very inexperienced, panicking, not accurate at all, just about take down those Russian soldiers, just about do it. And what's good is, I know you don't see them training, but obviously as they gain more experience through guerrilla operations, etc., then they become more proficient and battle-hardened and seasoned. And I like the way they did that. They showed you the months, the seasons passing, and that was also matched by the change in warfare, the camouflage that they were using, the way they used the land, traps they were laying, ambushing, all of that was excellent. And another thing that I think really stands out with this movie, and another point I'm going to wait to get to, is they show you the emotional impact on the characters. And even from the enemy side, one very powerful scene near the end of the movie, which I'll wait until we get there, and that was really good to see as well, and definitely stood out. Pixie, you're going to kill me because I watched the remake before I watched the original. I literally said to Ross a few days ago, I've just watched Red Dawn 2012. I wish I hadn't.
I was going to bring that up, Pixie, so I'm sure you haven't seen the 2012 remake since you suggested Red Dawn. I imagine the only one, I know you're a purist, that exists to you is Red Dawn is Red Dawn 1984. Gaz had the pleasure of watching the remake recently, but it did have Hemsworth in it, right, Gaz?
Yeah, he was. To be fair, he was solid enough, but it just doesn't have the same emotion, the same depth to the characters as the first one. It even doesn't have that threat. You really do feel the threat of the Soviets, the Cubans, and the Nicaraguans in this movie. You really, really do feel that. Like,
how brutal the attack was on the civilian population. Like, they pretty much put them in basically internment camps right away. So just a lot of kind of warfare themes that we all know from World War II, and this being a prototype for World War III. Early on, the Wolverines go to one kid's dad's gas station store, and they grab like supplies before they go up to the mountain, and they grab like food, drinks, everything they need, sleeping bags, water, jackets, guns, rifles, ammo. But Gaz, how many crates of soda they brought? They brought like okay, the Coca-Cola I can understand, because if you want like the caffeine to stay up for watch, but like the crates Swayze had of Sprite. I'm like, oh, are you guys going to need all that Sprite up there to like
some advertising?
It's like, that's how you know it was the 80s, because they were like, quick, grab guns, grab ammo, don't forget the soda.
We'll urinate everywhere. We'll the mass amounts of urine flooding down the mountain.
No, they must have that was part of the plan. Wash away the Russian tanks with Sprite urine. Harry Dean Stanton popped off. So I know. So as Gaz said, they get trapped up there. They eventually go down to town. They can see it's under communist occupation. They meet up with like dads at the internment camp, talk to him through the fence.
But did you think, Pixie? Question for you: when Ross has just said the scene when they first go into the town, and I think you see it's wall literally on the side of the building. You see like, you know, that kind of like communist iconography they have, and it was like something with
like the hammer and sickle.
Yeah, with the hammer. And what impact did that have on you when you saw that? Because I thought that was very powerful, and you have like literally kind of like, as Ross said, New World Order kind of thing with all the I think you hear like a feed going out on a speaker system, don't you? Trying to like re-educate the population. Those are in the internment camps.
Re-education.
Them, oh, you know, where your friends, kind of all this thing. But yeah, Pixie. So what impact did that have on you when you saw that like communist iconography there on the wall? Because I thought that was very powerful. You saw that in the background. So I'm just curious, you know, how that impacted on you as a first time watcher of it then.
I like how freaking one of them was like, dude, the shops are full. Let's go down there and resupply. They're like, wait, hold on, dude. And you can see that every vehicle is like obviously a military, you know, caravan. It's like if you were to just straight walk down there to walk in a store, like obviously they kind of did that, but they did it a little bit more like incognito. I mean, I'd say if there's one thing people might not like, it's obviously the ultra violence of the combat scenes. If that's not your thing, you're watching the wrong movie. It essentially is like a semi-modern warfare, as you know, 80s 90s style modern war, is a lot of the time, as Gaz was saying, is spent on the mountain and just seeing the effect on the psychology of the warfare and the psychology of the characters. So if you're not really invested into the characters and their personalities, you might not like the fact that there's so much about their camaraderie as the unit. But I think that's one of the things that, as Gaz said, that's kind of the juxtaposition. It's like their camaraderie among each other, as opposed to like the cold, hardened reality of the battlefield. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Accurate, Gaz?
No, I totally agree. This is what I said. It's one of the strengths of the movie is it shows you the emotional impact, even on the villains, which, you know, we'll come to later. Just answered that. Definitely. And what I thought was nice, as I just said in chat to Fire Pixie, Powers Booth references like the UK standing alone, you know, an island off Europe, says, you know, but they're not gonna last long, and then it's kind of up to us. So I could see where people would say, well, it's like UK and US again fighting together against a supreme evil. So it
would be cool, like, if there were to be a sequel or a prequel, it'd be cool to see that instead of like 2012 remake modern bullshit, as Gaz said. I mean, I guess really probably the only way it would happen is John Milius or the dude who wrote it, Ryan.
Yeah.
I don't want to say Ryan Reynolds because it sounds like I don't know what I'm talking about, but I felt like he had a name. Kevin Reynolds. Close. Kevin Reynolds, like maybe if he wrote a sequel or prequel and he showed you like that UK side that Gaz was just referring to, and maybe you know, like 1984, like you shoot it now, but you just make it retro like it's back then. And then, hey, while the Wolverines were fighting this in central Colorado, you take a random mountain town in Scotland and you give them kind of the juxtaposition, like the mirror image. Like that would be tight. If there was going to be more Red Dawn, it should be that.
Like, you could see the naval assault that they would have to embark upon around the island, the air battle, then obviously the guerrilla battles that would happen as well. They did do two things. I saw somebody, I didn't have a chance to reply. Someone left us a message in the chat the other day asking us if we'd seen When Tomorrow the War Began, I think it was, and that Red Dawn was an influence on that. I don't know if that dude is around at the moment, but yes, I've seen it. That was kind of a bit of a similarish premise. Languages escape me again. Premise, from what I remember, I can't remember who the villains were, but World War III happens, someone attacking, and it's like the US and UK kind of being alone to fight against that again as well. Yeah. I know this is about the US being alone here, but I'm saying how the influence happened. Because the two characters, I think it's a guy and a girl. Guy's American, girl's from the UK. Also is an influence on was another movie where this is a recent where definitely Red Dawn's, and it was in my head as well, and that's gone. Awesome.
I think it was Bushwick, maybe. The Bushwick is probably.
Dude! Now I remember something before this. And I remember us talking about this show. I forget the name again, but they did a series a few years ago, one of those kind of Man in a High Castle kind of shows, and it was about the Nazis had won World War II. Britain and North America were pretty much on their own. Britain was under occupation, but then the Navy had escaped to Canada and the US, so there was still engagements happening around the British Isles and in North America. That was quite, it was definitely taking an influence from Red Dawn. So, yo, what up, Ray? Welcome, man. So it's always interesting to see, faced with that occupation and supreme evil, how would people fight against that? And then that's when you get the idea like America now is alone, they're having to fight against communist invaders all around. We've got to band together, or literally liberty dies, the West dies, everything is gone. And that really comes across throughout the movie.
Your homework, Pixie, is excuse my voice, long night, is Man in the High Castle, all 3 seasons, and Bushwick. Bushwick was the closest thing I've seen to like a reasonable Red Dawn concept that didn't really, that worked. I mean, it didn't have a crazy budget, but what else were we talking about? Man in the High Castle, Bushwick. Oh, Overlord. I keep bringing it up. It's a different thing genre-wise, but like, as far as like a new school, kind of like Inglourious Bastards with more of a horror tinge to it, Overlord is as crazy as it gets in World War II.
I think any stories like this are always good, where it's somebody literally that, like we said, they're on their own fighting against evil. I mean, you could look at like the Chinese in 1936, Spanish Civil War, where the Allies and the Nazis were involved with, kind of just before World War II kind of starts, I guess.
Yep.
So it's when it's people who are, as I said, faced with this monumental struggle, and sadly, due to, I'm not going to go too heavy on this, but political situation at the moment, where you could arguably say we're in Cold War II, you look at this kind of movie and think, man, there's kind of a warning.
Yeah, hell yeah. Well, and plus, I think it's based on a lot of the Cold War stuff at the time.
Yeah.
It looks like, from what I was reading on Wiki, that the early versions were more like Germany based, like what Gaz was just saying, and then it looks like Milius is the one who kind of turned it to the communist Soviet stuff. So. But anyway, yeah, so just to go back to plot references, there's quite a few battles back and forth, like Gaz was saying, with the exchanges. Ultimately, they try to like raid the camps and free the prisoners and stuff like that. Our boy Powers Booth, Tanner, I think he's crashed Air Force.
Yeah.
And then obviously there's like the most hardcore sequences are like the tank battles, which are insane. And then the kind of Air Force, which is like, I want to say that was like, I think one of them is like helicopters, right? And then the other one is kind of those, I don't know what kind of jets those were, but in the canyon. That's
were the by any chance were the handgun ships? Because there was the three.
Probably.
And with the fighters you're referring to, the Russian ones, were those the MiGs?
I don't know if those were MiGs though, because they didn't really look like the MiGs.
No, because I was wondering that as well, if there were
MiGs. But there's probably like 3 or 4 marks of MiGs, I would guess. So, and I'm not really the expert, but just some crazy shootouts, like Pixie was saying. For one, Tanner starts giving them more elite military tactics, and that one where I think they used Tony for the bait, and she runs back, and then they pop out of the trap doors. That was like kind of like Terminator, where they were hiding the weapon caches, smoked them.
They do a kind of version of that in the remake, which is appalling. Which it just happens, and they all can use the weapons. Great. You don't see that transition that you do in the original, which is the best way. they've become seasoned and experienced, which has more of an impact compared to, hey, in 2012, yeah, we can just do it, no problem.
Yeah, that's like the Matrix where she gets that update. Chris Hemsworth's like, I need bazooka skills. Just downloads it to his brain. No, that's how modern. No, I like how Gaz pulled that out because that's something that obviously I watched that like subconsciously, but it didn't really register with me until Gaz pointed that. That's a great point. I always like when you can see the character kind of evolution.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Powers Booth, I thought, was great in this movie as well.
Yeah,
he kind of added that. He added that experience, as you said, the more elite tactics, and which they got from him, and his scene. Sadly, where Powers Booth, spoiler, that was emotional as well. Where there was the tank battle, which was sick, and sadly he gets taken out, but he still manages to pop off a grenade into the Russian tank. What up, Slip?
That was man, his death. Talk about the death scenes. Like for one, like the enemy death scenes were crazy, but you know the Wolverine and the revolutionary group ones were even crazier. So obviously, like Tanner like naded that tank close range. But yeah, there's just a lot of there's just a lot in there. A lot, like we said, like a lot of detailed shots within those combat sequences. And however they filmed that that Air Force stuff with the jets must have been extremely difficult. You know, I guess I would like to look up, like, you know, if they let him, obviously most of the time, the U.S. Air Force, like Black Hawk Down situation, the military lets the director use all the equipment. But you got to think, just in jet fuel alone costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. So if Milius is out there and I don't think the budget was that crazy, right, Pixie? I think it's like 17 mil, and I think the box office was like 38, so it did well. It did successful. I think the critics were a little butthurt, obviously, because this is a hardcore grindhouse war movie. But you know, it is what it is. Can't please everybody.
No, but it's
runtime.
Yeah, I mean, budget. Yeah, estimated 17 million. Yeah. Opening weekend made 8 million as well.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan was in the remake. Wow.
Man, I didn't realize. Oh, yeah. Man, I didn't.
Surprised they got. Stop whining.
The deer drink. Yeah, right. That's an interesting point that someone Slips just mentioned the deer drinking blood scene. So, yeah, in the remake, they trick the guy into drinking the blood, and then they make out, right, we played a prank on you, so Jed and his brother then laugh. In the OG one, it's treated much more seriously as like rites of passage as a hunter, if you like, drinks the blood, and then nothing else is commented on it. And that was much better, and I thought it kind of went with that tone, and I thought if you put yourself in that situation, they need something that's going to create that camaraderie, bring them together. So that was really well handled compared to the 2012 remake, where it's just like, hey, it's just kind of a joke kind of thing, and just didn't have the same effect whatsoever.
No, I mean, up until you know, man, this last battle scene, like Gaz was saying, there's just some wild back and forth exchanges, but just some cool shootouts in the mountains, and you know, like we were saying, the sets and stuff. Ultimately, I think they raid that final base there. Let's see.
Yeah, they do. That's with what we were just talking about off air with the guy who's the underling to the Cuban officer, and I think, if I remember this correctly, he's shouting, para order, por favor, para order. So he was like, you know, stop now, please.
Yeah, I forgot. No, hilarious. There's the bit with the tracker. When they get Daryl ends up being the rat from the KGB.
Yeah. Oh man, what a scene that was.
Kind of that sequence there, kind of internal turmoil of the squad, and then the Soviet helicopter gunships. Yeah, you were right. That's what they were. Yeah. So those were the Soviets. I know. At one point there's that sequence. It's earlier on where they get to the roadblock, and the U.S. the Air Force guys bail him out. So that was sick too. But yeah, there's not too much on it about Wiki. But yeah, I know. Just like the whole like Gaz was saying, just the survivalism of like being out there in the fields and stuff. Like, but that the way they shot it, man, it had me convinced it was Colorado, even though it looks like it was mostly Vegas. I want to see what else I could find for filming locations.
So I give everybody a shout again. Thanks for coming through as always. Much appreciated. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We'll have some updates for you as well at the end of the show today.
August. Damn, I don't think it has the production company. Filming locations. New Mexico. Right. Is it going to give me more? Las Vegas. Johnson Mesa, New Mexico. Las Vegas, New Mexico. Looks like the middle school was Vegas. That's it. So mostly New Mexico and Vegas. That's all they have on IMDb. But
yeah.
No, I haven't seen the Penguin, Ray, but I heard it's fire. Yeah, you got to watch out with those Ruskies, comrade. I heard Penguin's crack. I do want to check it. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. But yeah, any other highlights, guys? Favorite parts, or we could kind of move on to our ratings of Red Dawn. I mean, mine's pretty good. Go ahead, guys.
Just one scene I want to mention. So I've talked about how this shows you the emotional effect on people, both obviously the Wolverines, families, people living it in the occupied zones. There's so many scenes, but one that I thought was interesting was right at the end of the movie when Swayze and his brother are assaulting the town, and they're causing all mayhem. And I just referenced that scene with the Cubans number 2 shouting, para 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 para, order, stop now. Sadly, look, spoiler alert, folks, Swayze and his brother get shot, so they're making their way out of the town after they've killed the Russian general or colonel. And there's a scene where they go past the building where the Cuban colonel is. I should try to find this guy's name, and I didn't have much luck, sadly. And he's got an AK-47 pointed at them. So you think, right, that's it. He's got them. And yo, what up, Mr. J? And he drops his rifle, and then he has this glance, this exchange with Swayze, where they're both looking at each other. And I thought it was really interesting seeing that side where this guy's being brutal. There's no doubt, they don't hide it. This guy's being brutal to people. But there was a scene before that where he was reading a letter from his wife. He was thinking of his kids, and it was almost like his conscience had emerged in that moment where this is wrong, and he lets Swayze and his brother go, and he dropped his rifle on the floor like, yeah, this is totally wrong. I thought that was such a powerful scene because you saw the effect that had on the Occupy and on the occupiers, the enemy, and how one of them, his conscience has come through and thought, right, no, this is totally wrong. So that psychological impact, that's going to be with him, and obviously he would live with that for the rest of his life if he got out of there. And of course, and then you have the iconic scene with Swayze on the park bench with his brother, and then we have the closing scene with one of the girls narrating that monument you see where they'd paid tribute to the other Wolverines that had died, where they wrote the names on the rock. That was very powerful. That was so delicately well done. What a way to close a movie. I thought that was fantastic, man.
Yeah, absolutely genius. And there's multiple interpretations of the occupiers' reaction to letting them go. Like, one is like it's wrong, like Gaz said. The other one is like there's no point to this invasion. The war is meaningless. You know what I mean? So that's so cool about a scene like that. You can kind of walk away with it from multiple interpretations. But part was crazy. What up, Jay? And then, of course, the indication is that they most likely bled out and didn't survive on the park bench.
Yeah.
Both mortally wounded. And then, of course, the memorial with the there's another key thing about that too: the American flag, which is the indication that the U.S. Overthrew the occupation and persevered and fought out and U.S. won the war. So. Red Dawn is awesome. Shout out to Fire Pixie for bringing up this one. Like we said, directed by John Milius, written by Kevin Reynolds, starring Swayze and Sheen. Pretty much, I think it's about that time, guys, to get into our ratings. On IMDb, I have it as a 7. Sadly, it only has a 6.3 average. I mean, I could give it as high as a 8.5, 9. It's IMDb, dude. You know, you're like, oh my god, there's guns in this movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it actually has a plot. You know. Yeah. Well thought out character development. No, we can't have that.
More than 3 good actors, you know, that alone.
So you're at
I'm at like a 8.5, 9 probably max. I'd give it about an 8.5, I think, max.
I'm at a 9. I think it's the first time ever I'm actually higher than you in one of our reviews.
It's not surprising. Like I said, wow. I could be in that 8.5, 9 range.
Yeah, I'm at a 9, man, for this.
10 out of 10, Pixie? 11 out of 10, 12 out of 10. How high are you? Is John Milius your favorite director? I think we need Conan the Barbarian for my PXF Classic.
Dude, you gotta do. Dude, you know we've got to do that. We've talked about that for years.
Took my father's sword.
Yeah. So many epic scenes in that, man. Don't get me started. This will just turn into
Conan's too good. Rest in peace, James Earl Jones. Let's check the release date on it, and then we'll see if maybe we can get it by the anniversary. This one, Red Dawn came out in August, but it is what it is. Conan. I really should peep. I only see the 20th. No, peep it, Ray. It's sick. It's sick. You'd like it. Conan release date is May 14th, so we'll have to hit you guys before the summer. Yeah. Shout out to Ray May, Epic. Everybody came through. Red Dawn, it's fire. Not much channel news. Click the join button for a membership. You got to jump with us next month, Ray, so we can finish the boys. And we're doing Gladiator next week. Then we're doing Horizon, our first Western, Chapter 1 for Thanksgiving. Yellowstone just restarted, guys. It's as I was telling Gaz, I'll report back on it later. I can't appreciate you, brother. What else we got going on, guys? Not really much. UFC 309 tonight. John Bones Jones, Stipe Miocic, Charles Oliveira, Chandler, Bo Nickel, Paul Craig. Going to be a freaking war. So we're pretty much tapped in for UFC since Snake Paul was donkey doo-doo last night on net shit.
Don't just look. I've been scarred enough this year as it is. The Con 2024, then Joe Capu, and then that what I sat watching last night, man. I'm just.
Yeah, well, you didn't watch Megalada piss, but you did watch some other things.
Oh, dude, you know me. I'm a sucker for being punished. So I said to you, I like this. I like the idea of that concept for Megalada.
No, it's a great concept. And Coppola's the. Go ahead.
No, it's all right. No, it's all right. Go on, man.
No, I've seen Coppola and Tarantino lately talking so highly of Joker Deuce falling a poo. And listen, I love Francis Ford Coppola and Quentin Tarantino, but they are wrong. That movie sucks. Yeah. I don't care about this narrative that's like, hey, nobody likes it, but it's really a good movie that you just don't understand. That's not a thing. Yeah. Now, Tarantino's a goat, Coppola's a goat, but Joker Deuce falling a poo sucked, just like The Crow 2024 sucked.
It totally sucks. Look, if you want to watch more or less 3 hours of Lady Gaga singing and that's your thing, fine. I couldn't think of what a worst way to be absolutely tortured musically. My ears never ever want to hear that again. Thankfully, UFC will certainly rectify recent horrible memories tonight. So yeah, definitly. Thanks to everyone.
Tyson's goated. Shout out to Mike. He hit Jake with some bombs last night. Jake was scared. But yeah, UFC tonight, Bones Jones, baby. It's gonna be sick. Like we said, we dropped most of the calendar. CooperCon's going on right now in Seattle Museum of Flight. Get out there. We dropped the calendar for the PRS reviews. Next month, what did I lock in? I think we're doing Rashomon. We're going to get Kurosawa up there because that has true crime indications to it. And then the Heli is going to be a legendary for all the Zodiac heads. Watch out, our boy Clint Eastwood. Hopefully that can get us into the spaghetti westerns for 2025.
Yeah, we've got lots coming up. I'll let you know what WWIII is like as well, if it's actually any good as soon as I've peeped that.
Please do. Yeah, me and Gaz are going to Gladiator OG, Wall Street, if you want to jump on that next Saturday with us. And then we have Horizon Chapter 1. But yeah, click join for a membership in the join button below. Like, sub, share. Like I said, I've been talking about maybe doing a Zodiac show if I get it together for Lake Herman Road on December 20th. Dave Aranchak just released a new episode of Let's Crack the Zodiac. So always that going on. I think Jerome's having some trouble over at Mysteries with Mr. Belgique. He's having trouble with StreamYard, but if he gets that worked out, he'll be on Monday. I don't know when I'll be back on the Zodiac panel. I got things to handle, but I'll be doing PRS with Gaz here. Mosh Shinobi, stay locked. We still have a bunch of alternates. Roadhouse OG with Lauren Lepre. Twilight of the Warriors. We want to watch Killers game soon. And then me and I gotta do some rewatches too, as well as Monkey Man and Furiosa and things of that nature. So
def. Slips just pointed out a good scene from another classic, Last of the Mohicans. That movie is full of iconic scenes already. I mean,
Daniel Day.
The mountain scene near the end as well. Such an epic movie, man. So
I gotta show that to Wall Street because we've been revisiting the Daniel Day classics, and Hawkeye is a beast, and Last of the Mohicans fire. Dances with Wolves wasn't quite as epic, but you know what I mean. I'm still a Costner guy.
So many. Folks, as Ross says every week, drop your recommendations for movies for us to look at. We can add them to the PXF Classics list. So even if it's like, months ahead, we'll plot it out and get it on for you.
We could get Last of the Mohicans on PXF Classics if my voice is going. So we're going to jump soon, guys. What other Daniel Days would you guys want us to do? Other than Last of the Mohicans, would you guys want us to do Gangs of New York? Would you guys want us to do There Will Be Blood? Would you guys want us to do, you know what I mean? I think I'm going to skip Lincoln unless you guys are really hot on it. I've already seen it, but I mean, as far as reviewing it.
It's a slow burn, that one. I
do want to see that other one, though, The Conspirators, about, how they tried all those, that lady that was a part of the Lincoln conspiracy. It's like the same era, 1865 or whatever.
Have you ever seen one of his early movies? I think it's called My Left Foot. I think that's Daniel Day-Lewis.
I know he's got the boxer one, right? I want to see that. He's got the one where he's an IRA, young IRA.
That's fire as well.
I think I watched that. You keep it real, Pixie. You're a real one.
You danced out, huh?
Love Costner, though.
All right, y'all. Thanks for coming through. It's much appreciated. We'll be back next week. Definitely keep locked on the channels. I know kind of Moshinobi's kind of stopped at the moment. I will get back to doing things. I know I'm saying that every week, but I've just got some things going on in real life at the moment. But as Ross said, we do have some multi-stream shows planned as well. Have a good one, y'all. Definitely peep UFC tonight. And we shall see you all next time.
Absolutely. PRS out, PXF. I did do a short on my boy Chris Williamson's book, Take the Money and Run, DB Cooper. I think he did some new pods on, he does the Amelia Earhart. There's a lot of news in that community. I know nothing about that case, although I find it interesting. So definitely keep it locked with him at Vanish Pod. And that's pretty much it. Tune in with us next week at Gladiator 1. Maybe we'll get Gaz's pre-report on Gladiator Poo. And we'll see if he survives. But other than that, stay locked at Twitch. We definitely want to get the streams of Wrath of Cobra and Toxic Crusaders up.
Mayhem Brawler 2 demos dropped as well, y'all. So
want to peep that too. If me and Gaz jump on that, we'll probably have it going on the Twitch. So twitch.tv/PlanetXGames.
Might get on that with us. It's 4-player, I think.
Yeah, anybody who has Steam, welcome to hit us, and we'll jump on with you. Oh man, what I just had something that wasn't about Steam, but I think it was about something else, but it slipped my mind. But anyway, guys, thanks for coming through. Tune in next week, Gladiator. We're out. PRS, Paradigm Review Show. Like, sub, share. Peace.